You're listening to The Bible Guys, a podcast where a couple of friends talk about the Bible in fun and practical ways.
Hey everybody, welcome to The Bible Guys.
Woohoo!
We have a great episode planned for you today.
Man, it's going to be so exciting.
And today, the reason why you're excited, and so am I, is because today technically marks our second
birthday. Yes.
Yeah, The Bible Guys is 2 years old.
Oh, aren't we cute?
Wah.
Aren't we cute?
Yeah.
We're so cute.
Yeah, that's right.
Does this mean we're going into our terrible twos?
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah?
I was going to say that's terrible twos. So Desiree put a segment together called Birthday Edition.
Okay.
She says, for our segment today, let's talk about your favorite birthday celebrations. Choose 3 of your top birthday celebrations. I already know my 3.
Okay, go ahead. Give us one.
I'll give you the first one. First one is my 50th birthday. That you were there. Mm-hmm. It was a surprise birthday party, and technically it was the only time in my entire life that anybody has ever surprised me for anything.
What?
No, not
You've
like,
never had a surprise?
No, I've had like jump out of the woods and scare me surprise. You know, like boo. I've had those surprises. But so I'm a surprise person where I plan delightful surprises for my family often. Mm-hmm. And that still stands as the only time anybody surprised me.
For like a party?
For a party, yeah.
Okay.
Or like a trip or something like that. Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, I think my wife has done probably smaller things in the past.
Yeah, I was
like,
going to say she's listening, so she's
no,
going to be mad at you now.
She knows I'm accurate.
Liz, we're sorry.
She knows I'm being accurate.
Yeah.
She has done things like, hey, don't plan anything. We're going somewhere for the weekend.
Well, that's a surprise.
No. Surprise is, holy cow, I did not know that any of this was happening. I thought we were going over Chris LaBelle's house just to have a normal dinner. I didn't know it was a surprise party. That's what I'm talking about. That's different than saying, don't go anywhere. We're going somewhere this weekend. That's not a surprise. That's just a fun little thing.
Well, it's a surprise if she doesn't tell you where you're going.
Okay, then how can I?
It just seems like you're not thankful for the little surprises.
That is not.
You only want big
what
surprises.
Anybody should
Liz,
be taking away from this conversation.
He despises the little surprises.
Well, then let me modify
preach.
my claim and say it's my only true
big surprise.
Reaction of being surprised.
Ever.
Yes.
Wow. He lived 50 years.
Yes.
To that moment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right,
I stumble through life mostly, so everything's a surprise to me.
There you go. What is yours?
As far as birthday celebrations?
Yeah, that's what the question is.
My 5th birthday, I only invited girls to my birthday party.
Wow.
Yeah, and we went out for ice cream.
Wow.
At Farrell's. Remember Farrell's ice cream? Do you remember?
I was not around then.
Oh, okay. You weren't around then. Yes, you were. You were older than me.
I lived in Youngstown, Ohio.
Oh, okay. You guys didn't have a Farrell's down where you were?
Uh-uh.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
Anyways, yeah.
No, we had handles, which is better.
So it was me and a bunch of girls at my 5th birthday party having ice cream.
Oh, that sounds great.
Yeah, it's tons of fun.
Yeah. All right. My second choice is when I surprised my daughter, Tori, going to Disney World. At the time, my wife was going somewhere.
So you never get surprises, but you...
Oh, I know it was. My wife was going to England to be with Sarah because, Sarah was studying abroad at the time. And then Stephen was going to Haiti. Mm-hmm. And so the only 2 people left in the house were, because Sarah was in England, was me and Tori. So I decided to put a huge surprise party for her and treat her to Disney World. And that was over my birthday as well.
Wow.
So that was my second choice.
My 16th birthday, we had a really big youth group in a big church, and we invited everybody over to my house. We had a big chunk of property. My parents really put it on. And so,
nice.
I don't know, we had like 100 and something teenagers come over for my birthday party. That was a fun one.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, it says 3 celebrations. So my third choice is my 9-year-old birthday because I was born on April 4th and my brother Jim, who's just a year and a week older than me, was born on March 25th. And so they would combine our birthdays, which in retrospect is a terrible idea Terrible, right? I never got my own party, never got my own cake. It was always shared, right?
Man,
Just terrible idea.
you just sound miserable. You were 50 years old before you ever had a surprise, and then you had to share all your birthdays.
Are you Eeyore?
This sounds so
you
sad to me.
listening to the
You're telling your
joy?
own story.
I'm listeing. Listen to the joy
Just
between the
sounds
complaints.
horrible. I'm so sorry for you, Chris.
Okay, comma. My 9th/10th birthday party with my brother Jim was very sweet. And looking back, I was saying, like, I always hated sharing my birthday, but now that I'm older, I like the fact that Jimmy and I shared our birthdays.
Oh.
So I look back with fondness. And the reason why I chose my 9th one is because I remember it, first of all. And second of all, it was the year before my mom and dad got divorced. So sort of the last year.
Oh, the last year
that
whole
we
family
did
was together.
that we did that whole thing.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
sweet. I would say my last one is, I think my last themed birthday party.
Yeah,
I was like 10 or 11.
that's not true.
And it was kind of a Star Wars theme. But on my 50th birthday,
Oh, there it is.
my wife surprised me and we had an Indiana Jones
Yes.
themed birthday party.
Yes.
Yeah. So that was super exciting.
And I was there for that.
Yeah.
And so that's what I was going
So
to say.
it's almost 40 years between themed birthday parties,
You're
but
right.
it was great.
That's awesome. Good for you. So, hey, I think that if my wife would have chosen a theme for my 50th, well, actually, now that I don't know what it would be. I'm not sure what it would be. I think
I don't know. Well, the way you've been telling all your stories today, never any surprises, had to share. It'd be like a sad clown theme.
I think Cellophane, Mr. Cellophane, don't you say my name. Anyway, no. She would probably, honestly, make it a movie themed.
A movie.
Yeah, just movies in general.
Movies in general, like superheroes, probably.
Yeah.
She probably just thinks of you as a superhero, anyways.
When we were back, we were on my porch. I'll show this real quick. We were back on my back porch, watching the birds. That's what old people do now.
Yeah.
And we were talking.
Pretty soon you're gonna start talking
in the
about
morning-
prunes.
in the
Man, have you
morning-
tried these prunes? That's what's next. If you're watching birds already,
Yeah. Oh,
that's
yeah.
next.
We're totally watching birds.
That's next.
And we were in the back porch, and I said something about John Travolta, and I said, you do know that and I just talked about Pulp Fiction, and I said, Quentin Tarantino resurrected John Travolta. And I said, there's a story behind that dance they did with Uma Thurman. And I said, let me tell you the whole context of the story. And I told her the whole story. And I said, it was John Travolta that actually, said, no, let me show you how they would dance. And I said, it became like this huge thing. And then the whole world was like, wow, John Travolta is cool. Even though we had outcast him, and I told her this whole thing, and I'm excited about it, right? Because it was like so cool. It was like the resurrection of John Travolta after people had outcast him. The entire time, she's just staring at me. She's not even listening to my story. And then she goes, Chris, I do believe that God has you in ministry. This is her response to my Uma Thurman, John Travolta story. Mm-hmm. She goes, but if you wouldn't have gone into ministry, I have to believe that you would have been some sort of a movie critic or director or something like this.
Probably.
Because I just love great stories. But yet, that's what we do.
There you go.
We
tell the greatest story ever.
That's right. On a weekend service, we creatively and artistically and
That's
meaningfully tell the greatest story ever.
So, Liz, if you ever try to think of a good theme for a birthday party for Chris, I think Greatest Showman is what it should be.
Hey.
Because, what more do you want?
I like Greatest Showman.
You got singing and dancing and Zac Efron.
We just...
all in the same birthday party.
And Hugh Jackman. Wolverine. I like him too.
Yeah. So that it's got it all right there for you.
Right.
Singing, dancing.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Greatest Showman was one of the best musicals ever.
There you go. So that'll be Chris's. And Indiana Jones for me, Greatest Showman for you.
Yes.
That seems about right.
It sort of does.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Psalm chapter 101.
Yep.
Again, the background on this is just a touch murky. It seems to be early in David's life, perhaps towards right about now in the storyline that we're telling, where it's just before he becomes king or early as king. Somewhere in that area, he was a leader. He was pursuing God, and he desired greatness. But in God's context, right? That's what he's praying for. and leaning into, and he views greatness as being godly. And so this seems to be right about this time, either just before he becomes king or just after. Book of Psalms, chapter 101.
Hey, by the way, this is also very appropriate that we're going into this because just last podcast yesterday, we talked about, statements about his life of wanting to pursue God, a man being after God's own heart. And this is a perfect psalm, representing all the many psalms that he wrote that are pretty similar to this, about him wanting to live a blameless life filled with integrity.
Because he almost had blood on his hands.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting that we're reading it here. So in Psalm 101, it says, I will sing of your love and justice, Lord. I will praise you with songs. I will be careful to live a blameless life. When will you come to help me? I will lead a life of integrity in my own home. I will refuse to look at anything vile and vulgar. I hate all who deal crookedly. I will have nothing to do with them. I will reject perverse ideas and stay away from every evil. I will not tolerate people who slander their neighbors, and I will not endure conceit and pride. I will search for faithful people to be my companions. Only those who are above reproach will be allowed to serve me. I will not allow deceivers to serve in my house, and liars will not stay in my presence. My daily task will be to ferret out the wicked and free the city of the Lord from their grip. Wow.
That's great.
It's pretty committed.
Yeah. What a great line. He says, I will lead a life of integrity in my own home. Mm-hmm. In wanting to live a blameless life. Integrity is something that, I remember one time I preached a message called The Rise of Personal Integrity. And it was all about, it was technically about Daniel. And basically what I basically said was, in this message, the heart of it was something about when something is missing, integrity is the one universal thing that can rise up to fill in the gap. So in other words, like if you're minus accountability in your life and all of a sudden there's nobody around, and so you think about, like, for instance, Daniel chapter 3, he's ripped from his home and all of a sudden he gets thrown, or Daniel 1, where he gets thrown, captured by the Babylonians, and all of a sudden there's no accountability. There's no parents, right? There's no parents around.
Right.
So in the absence of accountability, what rises up to the surface? Integrity. So what does he say? Hey, I will not defile myself with the portion of the king's meat, right? In the portion of the wine and everything else. And then I was like, hey, what else is he missing? Well, he's also missing, and all these different things. But integrity, if you think about it, it's sort of like O negative blood. What kind of blood do you get?
I don't know.
What? Haven't you had like 22 sets of stitches in your life?
Yeah.
And so that kind of person being in the hospital doesn't know their own blood type?
I don't know my blood type.
Or you just don't want to be public?
No, I don't know my blood type.
You don't want to say it out loud?
I don't know my blood type.
I have A negative.
I don't know.
Okay. So I'm O positive. Okay. But O negative, and O positive, by the way, can be, I can donate the blood to several different types of people.
Oh, good. Well, I'll just keep you around.
There you go. Mm-hmm. But O negative people are the universal blood. And O negative can donate blood to anybody. So if you're O negative, chances are you get Red Cross. The Red Cross is bugging the fire out of you, right? Saying, please donate your blood as often as you can, because they don't have to worry about what do we have in stock. O negative rises up and just you're able to any deficiency, O negative.
Wow.
And by the way, that we're talking about the proteins in your blood. We're talking about all the different things that are needed specifically for every blood type. It's all contained in O negative. And that's the way I feel like integrity is. Integrity is the one thing, it's the universal donor that could rise up. Whatever you lack, whatever's deficient in your life, integrity takes care of all of it, right? Because that's what it is. Who are you when nobody's looking, right? That's David's motto, right? Who is he when nobody's looking? And you know what it is? It's a person who prays that he has integrity. I will be a man of integrity all of my life and in my home.
Yeah, in my home is the I think the key there, because that's people. It's easy to put on a good face out in public. It's easy to be on your best behavior when people are watching. It's who are you when nobody's watching is the key, and in your own home, and that's where a lot of our failures happen, is at home, not out in public. And so That's huge. I think it's interesting. He's talking about, I'll sing of your love and justice, Lord. I'll praise you with songs. So in the context of his, God, I want to honor you with my life. I want to be blameless with my life. I don't want a bunch of wicked people around me. He starts off with art, right? Because art reflects the heart. The kind of music we listen to really speaks to what we are on the inside. If all of your music and all of your art that you're taking in, all the movies that you're taking in, all are violence or sex or whatever, that's really where your heart is. Your preferred art reflects what's really in your heart. And so he's saying, God, I want to be a blameless person. I'm going to start off worshiping you. Right? Those two things are directly connected. A lot of times people think, oh, well, it's I'm not really a gangster, but I like gangster music, or I'm not really an alcoholic chasing skirts, but I just like alcoholic chasing skirt songs, right? And those aren't the same, right? It's not. I'm telling you, as your heart and mind lean, that's the kind of art that you're going to be attracted to. And so if you find yourself rejecting art and music that pulls you towards God, and instead you're pursuing more and more art and music and things that are pursuing the flesh, there's something in you right now that is leaning towards the flesh and not towards the spirit, right?
Well, it's very clear that you're influenced by whatever comes in.
Yeah.
So whatever you read, whatever you watch, whatever kind of books you read, whatever kind of movies you watch, my son, I made the mistake of, this is not in the same vein, but it sort of is. I made the mistake of letting him watch like shark movies when he was really too young to watch shark movies. And I don't know why, but I just thought like, oh, shark movies, he's my only son. I got 2 daughters. I got 1 son. Come on, son, let's sit down and watch a shark movie. Right. And now he is just deathly afraid of the water. Oh. And it's just, you're going to be influenced by what comes in on even the smallest level. Yeah. So like you're talking about, if you listen to, we're so old, we can actually sit here, we're 50 something, right? So we can say, oh, that darn rap music, we can say things like that. Yeah. But it is true that if you sit under that influence and that's all you listen to, your whole mentality is going to gravitate toward that mentality because that's what you listen to and revere.
Yeah. I had a friend, an acquaintance, who wanted to talk about their mental health issues just a little bit. And I wouldn't say we were talking on the clinical level. I was talking more about their life was getting really, really heavy, right? Mm-hmm. And as we began to talk through, she quoted the lyrics to a couple of songs that really were speaking to her in the moment. And they were like, I want to kill myself kind of songs,
Oof.
Right?
Yikes.
And I'm like, are you understanding? So you are leaning in a negative place, but the art that you're letting speak to you is already there. It's already in a bad place. You need to go the other way. Run from that, right? You run from that because art sucks you in. It pulls you towards the thing that it's highlighting. And have you ever been in art gallery? We were down in Detroit, the DIA, Detroit Institute of Art.
Yeah.
And there's a big painting on the wall, this big painting, and the light is fantastic. I forget who the artist is. It's one of those light artists from back in the Renaissance. And it's one of those that I found myself, we were across the room, and I just kept getting closer and closer and closer and closer to it, which is exactly what that painting was designed to do. Right, the way the light was coming down, it pulls you into a point on this giant painting. It's pulling you there, and I wanted to see the detail. There's more detail, right? So the details in the darkness was kind of vague. You were aware that they were there, but you were being pulled into what the artist really wanted you to focus on. And that's what art does, is whatever the focus is, it pulls you into that thing, and you become more and more and more and more and more of what you're taking in. And so he starts off that way. This is how he says, God, I want to live a life of integrity. And he starts off with songs. And then he says, I'm going to refuse to even look at anything vile and vulgar. I hate people who are dealing crookedly. I'm not going to have anything to do with them. I'm going to reject perverse ideas. I'm going to stay away from every evil. I'm not going to tolerate people who are lying about their neighbors. I'm not going to endure conceit or pride. What he's saying is, I'm choosing completely and totally to reject everything that's going to challenge my integrity.
And by the way, people are pretty tolerating in this culture.
Oh, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Toleration seems to be something that, we're like, well, culture demands it, and so therefore we have to tolerate.
Right.
But
He
here,
said, no, I'm rejecting it completely.
David says, I will not tolerate people who slander their neighbors. He's not going to tolerate bad culture, negative things.
I'll have nothing to do with people who deal crookedly. Oh, well, that's just how my industry does. Mm-hmm. David goes, not my industry.
Well, he says the very next line, I will search for people, I will search for faithful people to be my companions.
Only those who are above reproach.
Yes.
Yeah.
And by the way, how important is that? Mm-hmm. To surround yourself with people who you want to be like, that are good examples. I had a conversation with a friend last night, and he was actually contemplating, some big choices. Like these are like, there's only a few categories of big choices about jobs and, where do I move and where do I go and all these different types of things. And as he's contemplating that, I ended up ultimately not thinking that I was really going to offer this advice. I thought, well, I'm going to sit back and I'm just going to listen. I'm going to nod my head and say, well, pray about it whenever you think. I was convinced that's what I was going to say. But I just got to the point to where I just said, life is too short not to surround yourself with people who you love. Life is too short to be around people who are not good. And you could try your very best to give it your shot, to place yourself in an environment where people are crooked and people are perverse and people are not, this way or that way. Life's too short, man. Surround yourself with people that are godly, that you love, right, that will encourage you, that'll make you happy in the good ways, not in just the superficial ways, in the meaningful ways, in the right ways. It's like that's what God wants.
Yep. It's
right?
possible to do your business with integrity.
Mm-hmm.
It is possible. Now, you might be in a company that doesn't have any integrity. Hey, change, right? I would say it's possible to do all of your business with it, unless you're in the mafia. Right. If you're in the mafia, well, maybe you can't do your business with integrity. But everything else, you can do your business with integrity. Change. And if you can't in the company you're with, change your company. It's the same thing with your friends. It's possible to have friends that are, like he's saying, I'm going to search out faithful people to be my companions. It's possible for you to surround yourself with art that is positive instead of negative. It's, you're driving down the road and you're listening to the radio. You're choosing who your companion is in that moment. Right? Mm-hmm. It's some drunk that's cheating on his wife, or it's somebody who's pointing you to Jesus, right? Those are your choices there. Somebody looking for revenge or somebody looking to do good with their life. This is what he's saying is, in this moment, I'm making some choices so that I can live a blameless life. I'm making choices so I can live with integrity. I'm making choices that very clearly ferret out, literally he says, to ferret out the wicked and to free the city from the grip of wicked people. He said, I'm going to choose in my home and in my life that I'm going to do the right thing. And to be honest with you, all of those are a choice. Mm-hmm. None of those are, God, you got to do some miracle to make this happen. Right. He said, I'm making daily choices for these things to happen. The people I hang around, the choices I make, the things I look at, the things I concentrate on, even the art that's coming into my life, I'm choosing in every way to make God be the focus of my life. And that's what's going to set him up to be a person of integrity, even when he's at home alone.
That's great. Well, so there it is. So we end the chapter with the lesson of, resolve in your heart now. Yeah. Right? Make a choice now. Yep. This is the kind of person I will be. This is the kind of person I will never be, or no longer be, maybe perhaps. And then I'm going to surround myself with the kind of people that are going to encourage me, pull me in the right direction, push me in the right direction, and people are going to influence me in the right ways. So what a great psalm.
That's great.
And that's all the time that we have. So we will see you next time, hopefully, on the Bible Guys.